Exegesis of some short chapters of the Quran by Imam al-Qasim bin Ibrahim arrasi. Translator's Introduction. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the exalted and majestic, the one who has no partners or associates, the one who provides the light of guidance to his slaves so that they may attain spiritual perfection and illumination by means of it. May Allah send His choicest blessings upon His slave and seal of the messengers, Muhammad bin Abdullah. May Allah bless his pure progeny, righteous companions, and those that follow them in excellence until the day of judgment. As to what follows, central to the life of the Muslim is the Holy Quran. Even though the Quran is an Arabic text, and the majority of the Muslim body consists of more non-Arabs than Arabs, there is hallowed significance to the Quran. One can find museums dedicated to the Quran in places as far as Indonesia, the majority of whom do not even know Arabic. The language barrier does not prevent the non-Arab Muslim from appreciating and understanding the Book of Allah. This is because it is not just recited and read, it is also lived and exemplified. This text, with its unparalleled beauty and soundness, requires that the reader be acquainted with the various sciences necessary to understand the full scope of the book. Obviously, the first science necessary to grasp the Quran is through knowledge of the Arabic language. Allah says of it, "We made it an Arabic Quran so that you will understand." Quran 43:3. It is therefore incumbent for one to have mastered the Arabic language to comprehend the Quran. This would entail the assiduous studies of grammar, morphology, derivatives, metaphor, and even Arab poetry. Knowledge of the Arabic language is not the only prerequisite. Indeed, even amongst the Prophet's companions, there were those who knew the language but did not understand the meaning of the verse. For example, the books of Quranic exegesis cite an instance where prominent companions such as Abu Bakr and Umar admitted ignorance of the meaning of Abba in the verse, "Its fruit in pastures." Quran, chapter 80, verse 31. Another science one must master is knowledge of the historical circumstances surrounding the revelation. Otherwise, one could easily take verses out of context. For example, Allah says, "That which thou offered on the day when the two armies met was by the permission of Allah, so that the believers might be tested." Quran chapter 3, verse 166. The Quran itself does not mention the nature of the suffering mentioned in the verse, nor does it mention who the two armies were, or what was the day that they met. Those relying solely on the Quran would be at a loss explaining the import of this verse. Such information could only be supplied by the books of hadith and history. There are other sciences necessary for the study of the Quran. However, one must not become frustrated at the seemingly daunting task of prerequisite study. Indeed, the basic and pristine message of the Quran could fully be comprehended by the layperson. Allah asks of the average person, "Do they not reflect upon the Quran?" Quran chapter 4, verse 82. Such rhetorical question would be superfluous to the basic message of the Quran was only relegated to an elite scholarly class. All of that withstanding, it is necessary that there be a group of individuals who undertake the deep study of the Quran in order to expound upon its mysteries to the layperson. Allah refers to this elite scholarly class of people as those firmly grounded in knowledge. Quran chapter 3, verse 7. One such person was Imam al-Qasim bin Ibrahim arrasi, upon him be peace. Imam al-Qasim bin Ibrahim bin Ismail bin Ibrahim bin al-Hasan al-Mutana bin al-Hasan bin Fatima bin Muhammad, the chosen prophet, peace and blessings be upon him and his progeny, was born around the 8th century CE, as is evident from the lineage. Imam arrasi, upon him be peace, was a Hassani Sayyid. He was based in Medina and was raised under the tutelage of the Imams and scholars of the Prophet's descendants. His studies would naturally include the study of the Quranic sciences, since Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him and his progeny, is universally narrated to have declared, "Verily, I leave you two weighty things by which you hold on to them. You will never go astray after me, the Book of Allah and my descendants, the people of my house. Verily, the subtle and aware will not separate them until they meet at the basin." We should be especially keen regarding the Quranic exegesis of the Imams of the Prophet's progeny, upon them be peace. This exegesis is no exception. The content of the book. Imam al-Qasim arrasi, upon him be peace, explains and interprets 27 short chapters of the Holy Quran, drawing upon his knowledge of language, logic, tradition, and the like. Imam al-Qasim expounds on the meanings of the verses in a way that the average person could easily understand. In some cases, he refuses the popularly held views and interpretations and replaces them with what he deemed as more authoritative and proper. As characteristic of many of Imam al-Qasim's other writings, this present work was written in rhyming Arabic prose. We have endeavored to stay faithful to the author's creativity by rendering our translation into rhyming English poetry. We sincerely pray that the reader is able to gain a greater appreciation of the short chapters of the Quran. We also hope that since these short chapters are normally memorized and recited during the prayer, we also hope that since these short chapters are normally memorized and recited during the prayer, one is able to obtain a greater sense of awareness and consciousness while praying, not only reflecting on the outer form of the verses, but also reflecting on their meanings as explained by an Imam of the prophetic progeny. Imam Arrasi.